What is going on, Hive Warriors? So today we're going to talk about one critical mistake that you do not want to make when you're intermittent fasting. Now, this video, I'm very positive will be short, but I say that a lot and then they end up long. Hopefully this is a short video. Without any further ado, let's jump right into it. The number one critical mistake, and the reason that I call it a critical mistake is because it can cascade into you not doing intermittent fasting anymore, not reaping the benefits of intermittent fasting, and then feeling like you had a positive reinforcement from intermittent fasting or a positive feedback loop, then a negative feedback loop, and that can make people feel confused as to if this still works. The critical mistake that you do not want to make with intermittent fasting is continuously eating the same amount of food nonstop throughout your entire weight loss process with intermittent fasting. Now, I know that it works in the sense that it's less of a mental thing that you have to do when you're eating certain foods. You could just keep eating it, and if it keeps working, it feels good, right? But that could also mislead you to believe that the food in and of itself doesn't matter as much as you think it does. And when you are weighing yourself on the scale and you're seeing that the weight loss is dropping, you feel good and you feel that you're on the right path, so you can continue to eat whatever this meal is or whatever these meals are during your eating window. And then you get to the point where you have lower belly fat or just belly fat that you're trying to remove, and the scale is no longer moving and the weight no longer feels like it's coming off. This is when a lot of people feel that they've hit a plateau, and usually they feel that they've hit this plateau is because they're not necessarily looking at what they're eating, but they're looking at why the fasting stopped working. In these cases, many people start to believe that they've hit some sort of a wall because the body has become used to the fasting regimen, and they have to push themselves a little bit harder and do more difficult intermittent fasting regimens or even prolonged fasting to get even better results. Now, here's the thing. When you pick an intermittent fasting regimen that you felt comfortable with, that you had a groove with, and you had a nice rhythm and flow with, and then dramatically change that without knowing the cause of the issue, and then you're doing something that's much more difficult, and then you see results because you're creating these larger gaps of not eating, creating a larger calorie deficit over a larger span of time. What you end up doing is thinking, now this is the new thing that works, and I have to stick with this. I have to do alternate day fasting, or I have to do 48-hour fasting all the time so that I can reach my goal. And the truth is, you don't necessarily have to do that. What you just have to do is change what you're eating and reduce the calories of what you're eating. And I'm telling you, it's very deceptive, because if you're focusing on intermittent fasting, your whole entire mental thoughts will be linked to intermittent fasting. You're almost not even going to think about so much on the food that you're eating. So you'll end up actually not even blaming the food that you're eating, and then blame the intermittent fasting protocol that you're doing and start trying to switch and change it. Remember, there are benefits to intermittent fasting, like enhanced or calorie partitioning, where they burn more body fat than just doing caloric restriction, but you still need to be at a caloric restriction. It's not that intermittent fasting does things without caloric restriction. It does it with caloric restriction. So if you are not in a caloric restriction, if you hit a wall where you're no longer losing weight, I highly recommend trying to change the foods that you're eating. Also, if you want, trying to up the amount of cardio that you're doing, making it a little bit more intensive if you like, but you don't have to, because 90% of all this weight loss stuff is done in the kitchen anyway. So paying attention to the foods and reducing the amount of foods that you're eating, still sticking to the intermittent fasting protocol that works the best for you, that's going to help you. And to me, this is probably the most critical mistake that people make, when a lot of people come to me and tell me that it's no longer working for them, or they have to keep increasing because their body's getting used to it. It's not that your body's getting used to it. Your body doesn't get used to it as if it's a I don't know how to even explain it. It's not something that your body just becomes accustomed to, so now it doesn't work as well. It's not like that. It's not like metabolic adaptation or anything like that. Intermittent fasting is very specific. It's very is very intentional. When your glucose depletes, your body has to replace glucose with ketones. It's not something that it says, hey, you know what, I'm so used to you doing intermittent fasting, I'm no longer going to replace your glucose with ketones. Your body has to do that to provide energy for your brain. So it's not going to get used to what you're doing. This is something that a lot of people in fitness love to say so that they can get you to buy products, do different things, do different exercise, go onto their social medias, what have you. They always say, oh, make sure your body doesn't get used to this, or make sure your body doesn't get used to that. It's not going to get used to anything. Your body's going to continuously deplete glucose and replenish that with ketones as long as you're not eating to replenish that glucose via eating food. So hopefully this video has helped you guys. That is the critical mistake that I would say you are doing if you were to, if you had to pick one. If they said, hey, Fledge Fitness, Edward, you got to pick one thing. What's the most difficult thing or the most critical mistake, period, of all the mistakes that are out there? Because there's a lot. Which one is the number one? And I would say eating the same food even after you've hit a wall, and then switching your intermittent fasting regimen as opposed to changing what you're eating. Till the next one, guys. How much time did we do on this? That's not bad. We'll see you on the next one. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and thank you very much.